So this is Parshas of Vayeshev, and it's probably one of the most tragic parshios in the entire Torah. What is the sign that there's high drama in this week's parsha? Sorry? Okay, Vayehi. Okay, I was actually going to be more cynical than biblical, but if Hollywood recognized the drama of these parshios and made a movie called Joseph and the Coat, whatever, so it must mean that even the world that they recognize is that there's what to tell about this drama that's going to take place. And in the midst of the drama with Yosef and his brothers is inserted a story which seems to be totally out of nowhere. And so much so that if I were to delete this story, if I were to delete Perek Lamed Ches from Chumash, it wouldn't affect the Hollywood script. I don't even know if it would affect the Chumash script. Right? For sure it doesn't have anything to do with the narrative of Yosef and his brothers. Right? There's no like, what's happened to Yosef? No. Literally there's almost a seamless thread from the end of Lamed Zayin to the beginning of Lamed Tes. I'm going to prove it to you, right? Look at the end of Lamed Zayin. So that's the end of source 2. You've got to flip the top of page 2. Actually, I left out that last pasuk there, right? Actually, the pasuk Lamed Vav, which isn't there, says that Yosef was brought down to Mitzrayim, right? And look at source number 7, which is Lamed Tes. And where is he brought to? He's brought to this guy called Potiphar. It's a seamless thread, yet it's interrupted with Perek Lamed Ches. And in fact, it's such a strange Perek. It will lead to terrible moral and religious issues. There was a time, I know when I was in elementary school, they skipped this chapter. They skipped this Perek, right? I don't know if any of you skipped this Perek when you were learning Chumash. What year in girls' schools they teach this? Grade 3? Grade 4? I'm not so sure. But many schools skip it. Baruch Hashem, my sons don't skip it in Yitzchak and Maharal, but there are many schools, and they're dealing with these issues. It's like, sensitive material. And therefore they decided, instead of dealing with it at a younger age, they kind of like shove it, and then we don't have an opportunity to really study it. Let me just show you a Rashi at the beginning of Lamed Ches. Take a look at Rashi in source number 6. Rashi asks the question, Lama nismacha parsha zo lekan? Well, what's this doing here? So we see that Lamed Ches seems to be an isolated narrative, disconnected to the greater drama of Yosef and Echav. So in order to appreciate what's going on, let's read Perek Lamed Ches together. Now, this is in order to save time, what I would like to do is, I like to play my favorite game. My favorite game is wherever we learned these words before in Chumash. So for those of you that are familiar, tell me, when we read over Perek Lamed Ches, where you might have heard of these words or these phrases in the Yosef and brother narrative. Or if you want, we could expand it to other places, perhaps in the life of Yaakov, if you wish. Okay, you ready to play this game? Let's read over Perek Lamed Ches. Let's try to understand. Let's ask a couple questions, but I'm going to try to pack everything in very quickly. Vayered Yehuda me'es Echav. Right? Very good. We see this concept of Yerida. Yosef is brought down to Mitzrayim, but it's more than that. This idea of Yerida is more than a physical, or more than a spiritual, or more than a geographical Yerida of Yosef going from Canaan to Egypt. Although it is that for sure. But what does this mean? Vayered Yehuda me'es Echav. What does it mean? What do you mean Yehuda descended from his brothers? What is it referring to? So take a look. Let's now go back to that Rashi that we referenced and read it carefully. Vayered Vayibaisahi, we're in source number 6. Lama nismacha parsha zo lekan vehesik beparsha so Yosef. Why is the story, the narrative of Yosef, being interrupted? Lelamed shoridu echav migdulaso. Yehuda literally was brought down, was removed from his status of part of the brothers. Kisharo b'tzaras aviyah. we see that Yosef's father, Yehuda's father, Yaakov Avinu, is suffering tremendously. He's suffering a tremendous sense of anguish. And when they see his father really suffering, they go to Yehuda and they say, Yehuda, this is your fault. Amru ata amaranta lemachro. You said, the brothers turned to Yehuda and said, you said, let's sell him. Ilu amarta lahashivo hayinu shomim l'cha. We would have listened to you. What is this Rashi referring to? What's this Rashi referring to, anybody? What's the story? What happens? What takes place? The end of the previous parak. What happens? So, what was the original plan, and what ends up happening? The original plan was to kill Yosef. What do they end up doing?
Throw him in a pit.
Wait, we're going to actually kill him with our own hands? Make our hands bloody. So instead we're going to throw him to a pit. If we throw him to a pit, what will happen? He'll die on his own. We just won't have to kill him ourselves. Then what happens?
They come back.
And they
Come back.
whose idea was it? Take a look. Let's actually read this inside. Take a look, please, at source number 2. Ela toldos Yaakov Yosef ben Shvas Rishon Ayaretz Chabatsan Vunars Bnei Bilha Bnei Zilpah Nishaviv Vayve Yosef Es Dibasam Ra'el Avihem. They're shepherding. Yosef brings these evilness to the father about the brothers. Let's skip down. Va'ata. Now they're plotting against them. Va'ata. Lechu v'nargenu v'nishlechenu bechara baraz v'amarnu chaya ra'a achalasu v'nirma yochel mosav. Let's throw him into the pit. Let's kill him. Actually, let's first, by the way, let's kill him and then throw him into a pit. Right? First, let's commit murder. Vayishma Ruven v'sem yadam. Ruven says, no way. Lo nakir nafesh. V'amar lehem Ruven al tishruchu dam ashlichu so labor. Let's throw him into a pit. Asher b'midbar. V'yar al tishruchu bo. We don't want to get our hands dirty. Why? L'man etzelo som yadam l'shavol aviv. Because Ruven will go back later. Shut him out of a pin, bring him back to dad. Vayigasher ba Yosef elecha v'yavshitu es Yosef es hunaso l'ektonos abasim asher miyadav. Asher alav. And what do? They remove this special garment, this special coat from Yosef. Now, this coat, as we are familiar with, is a very important coat. What does this coat signify? What does this coat signify? His father's favorite child. Yaakov makes, we're all familiar with this special tunic, the special coat for his favorite son, who's the son of his favorite wife, Rachel. That very coat that signifies the difference between Yosef and the brothers is what is removed. That is very important. Vayikachuhu v'ashlicho solabor v'borek in b'mayim. It's thrown into the pit. Vayeshvu lacholachem. They decide, let's have a meal. Vayistu einehem vayuvine orchos yishmaelim ba'amir gilar gumalei nosos nechos tzuril v'lod l'chin l'orid mitzrayma. And they see these Ishmaelim. This is what Rashi was referring to. Vayomer Yehuda lechav. Ma betzachina roges achinu v'chisinu edamo. Yehuda says what? What do we gain by the fact that he's dead? L'chu v'nimkarenu l'Yishmaelim. Let's sell him to the Yishmaelim. V'yadenu al tehivo. After all, ki achinu v'sarenuhu v'yishmu echav. Ladies, how ironic. Yehuda says, he's our brother! What's crazy about his statement? He's our brother! What should be the obvious conclusion? When you say, achinu v'sarenuhu, what should you then conclude? What should most human beings conclude? That what? Take him back. Bring him back to dad. He's our brother, therefore, let's just sell him. The brothers listen. What does Rashi say? Beginning of Perek Lamed Ches. Yehuda, if you would have said, let's bring him back to dad, we would have listened. The difference between a good leader and failed leader. Let me go back for a second. What is a real leader? If they can't accomplish this one thing, they're not a leader. That's called influence. If, as a leader, you need to be able to influence others. A good leader, influence people for good. A bad and negative leader for bad. But a leader It brings people together to accomplish something. If you get up and you say something, and it doesn't happen, that means you're a failed leader, and you're not really a leader. Reuven speaks first. Reuven has a plan. Does it work? Reuven's plan is failed. Reuven's plan, remember, Reuven's plan is to throw him in the pit and bring him back to dad. Does that happen? The answer is no. Yehuda has a plan, an idea, and that actually materializes. Here we have the failed leadership of Reuven, the successful leadership of Yehuda. Yehuda's plan might have been corrupt and perverse, but nonetheless he is quote-unquote successful. Now, okay, they sell him, or he's sold, or he's not sold. That's who exactly sells Yosef is a story for another time. Chavtas, Reuven goes back, he's not there. Take a look at Lamed Aleph. Vaychu asked Sones Yosef. They take this garment. Look up, this is highlighted in Chumash. Vayishchatu seir izim, and they shecht a goat. Vayitbelu es aktonas badam, and they dip this tunic into blood. Vayishalchu es konas basim, and they send this konas basim. Vayavu alavi, and they show it to their father, and they say, Vayomru zos matzanu. We found this. Hakirna. What's Hakirna? Recognize this. Haktonas bin chahiim lo. Dad, recognize this tunic. Is this your son's tunic? What's the conclusion? Vayakira. He recognizes it. Vayomer ksones bini. This is the tunic, the coat of my son. Chaya ra'a achalasu tarof toraf Yosef. He has totally been devoured. Now, recognize this? A coat? A goat?
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
From even summer.
What? Very good. Let's take a look at the next pasuk. Lamed Dalid. Vayikra Yaakov Simosa v'yasa b'masna v'yisabla b'no yemim rabim. But why is this so ironic? Yehuda's suggestion was either don't kill him, sell him. Why would Yehuda suggest that for? That'd be easier on dad? What's the irony? No one was able to console Yaakov. Meaning he's in as much mourning, or in fact more mourning, than if Yosef would have been killed. So what do they gain? Not much. Maybe just cold-blooded murder of your brother face to face, but that's really all they gain. I will go down, Ered, right? Remember? Horab Ngedulaso, going down. I will go down, basically, mourning over my son forever. Okay. Let's jump back to our Yehuda and Tamar story. Because, in the first pasuk, you understand now. It's not just a geographical statement. It's Yehuda, the nobility of Yehuda, the greatness of Yehuda has been totally undermined. They said to Yehuda, get out of here. Been totally rejected by his brethren. Now, what's at stake? Let's realize how high the stakes are, ladies. Now, we appreciate this in hindsight. What's at stake if Yehuda remains totally disconnected from his family? What's at stake? The kingship. The entire future of the Jewish people is at stake. The stakes are pretty high. Now, we know that going forward. David HaMelech is at stake. Mashiach is on hold. The entire future of the Jewish people is in terrible jeopardy. This clearly is what's going on in these psukim. The question is, after a Yerida, can there be an Aliyah? After there's a failure, is there any chance of hope and recovery and climbing out of this ladder? Let's continue. Vayet ad ish adulami shmo Chira. Vayart sham Yuda bas ish Kanani shmo Shua v'kechav yavo eleha. There's a first, Yehuda has a lady whose name is Shua. Vatar v'tele ben v'kra shmo Er. They have a child called Er. What does Er mean? Like Uri, what's air? Wake up. Wake up, no? Right, wake up. First child is called wake up. That's cool. Wake up from what? We'll come back to that, maybe. Shemo Onan. What does Onan mean? What's an Onan, halachically? What's an Onan? A person who is in between the status. They've lost a loved one, but they haven't said Shiva yet. Their loved one is yet to be buried. So Onan means grief. But Tosef would tell Shemo Shela. So Shela, I don't know what Shela is. Shela's like what? Hers. Shela, good. Could mean borrowed, maybe. Could mean question. I'm not quite sure. Okay, and there's pain when he was born. V'ikach Yehuda isha le'er b'charoshma Tamar. The first kid, wife is Tamar. V'er b'chor Yehuda ra be'einei Hashem. By the way, if you switch the letters of er, what word do you get?
Ra.
Ra. Isn't that cool? Right? So er is Ra. Now, God kills him. Who else does something Ra that we just read a few minutes ago? Who brings Ra to the father? Yosef, doesn't he? Diba Ra'a el Avihem. Alright, see how that's going to fit? Put that in your back of your mind. Hashem kills him. V'mer Yuda le'onan, bo el eshes achicha, v'yabemo sava kem zel achicha. So then we need to know a little bit of background information about Yibum. This is the pre-halachic Yibum. So what is Yibum? Yibum effectively is what? When you marry their brother when there's no kids. Why do you do that? To continue. So, by the way, halachically, it's actually really interesting. You need to do kiddushin. You do not need to do kesef kiddushin. You do not need a tabas kiddushin. There's already that connection between the brother and the wife. Meaning, Tamar and Onan were already connected. From a halacha perspective, Onan would not need to give a ring to Tamar. There's already that connection instantaneously. Right? And what's the purpose? Essentially, it continues the children of Er. Okay? Let's go on. Have children. Vayeda Onan kilo Yazara. Onan says, wait, my kids really won't be my kids. Why? Whose kids are they really going to be? Heirs. And therefore he doesn't want to pregnate his brother's wife, because the kids won't really be his kids. And God kills him as well. Now we have a situation, you have two brothers, right? Two brothers who do something evil, and they both die. Now, what could we do? So Yehuda turns to his daughter-in-law and says, listen, you stay here. Ad Yigdal Shalabani. Wait, you need to marry who? Shala. But what's the problem? He's a little kid. How old is he? I have no idea how old he is. Let's pretend he's 1. I have no idea. But let's wait. You can't marry him. He's too young. Ki Amar. But what's the real reason? Ki Amar Penam Amus Gamu Gechav. And I'm very worried that maybe what? My third kid will die just like the first two. Now, Yehuda's assuming that what? What's the cause of the death of these two individuals? What's the cause? Tamar. Now, is that true? No. How do we know it's not true? The Torah says it's not true. Yehuda makes a terrible mistake. He blames the death on Tamar. He should really blame the death on his own children. Okay? Very important. Let's go on. She begins to mourn. So many years pass. Yehuda's wife dies. He's mourning. And he goes to the local sheep shearing county, what's it called? Sheep shearing festival. Thank you. Festival. And he brings his buddy, Chira, Adulami, to a place called Timnasa. No. And Tamar hears, hey, my father-in-law is going to the local sheep shearing fair, festival. She removes her garments of mourning. How many years has she been mourning? Why not 10? How does she mourning? Shelah was too young, no? So she waiting for Shelah to get older. The Torah says many years passed. Vayru Yamim. Wow. Who also mourns for a really, really long time? Yaakov, no? Yaakov mourns for a long time? Yeah. Who else wears clothes of mourning? Yaakov and Tamar. What does she do? She removes her, her black clothes, right? Wear black rather than going to a funeral or wedding if you're a Jewish female, right? So you remove your. That was a bad joke. You remove your. She removed her clothes of mourning. And she sits in the crossroads of the eyes. She sits at the crossroads in order to pick up who? Her father-in-law. Whose fault is that? Shelah is now 12, 16, 18, I have no idea. He's now older. And Yehuda, who promised Shelah to Tamar, is now reneging on his promise. He's breaking his promise. So Tamar says, I'm going to take things into my own hands. Now, what's really neat is she covers herself with a seif. Now, she is physically blind. But does she know what she's doing? She knows exactly what she's doing. Here's the irony. You're wearing clothes. You can't see. You can totally see what's going on. Right? Right? It's very important. Vayiru Yehuda. Vayireha Yehuda. Yehuda sees her. Yehuda sees. But at the same time, he's totally blind by reality. Irony, right? He sees her, but doesn't really see her for who she really is. After all, because she's covered up her face. By the way, this is an ironic statement. What does Vayet really mean? By the way, it goes back to Pasuk Aleph. Vayet means to go off the path. But this doesn't say off the path. This says on the path. Right? It's meaning, in order to go, he's already off the path, so she needs to bring him on the path, but it's like prostitution, which is like off the path, but it's really the right thing to do, which is on the path. So that's the ironic here. What's the payment? How much are you going to get from it? Says Yehuda, listen, I know what I'll pay you. A goat. What's the problem? 2 goats. What's the problem? Does he have goats on him?
Yes, he's got it.
But what did he just say? I'm going to send them to you. Why doesn't he give them to her? Doesn't he have goats on him? It's a goat shearing festival. Well, you got to bring goats, so you got to bring your own goats to a goat shearing festival. But he says, I don't have any goats. Wait a second. When was the last goat we encountered? When was the last goat we saw? They just killed a goat. Isn't that ironic? You'd have more goats if you would have used it for Yosef's coat, wouldn't you? You're lacking goats? How ironic. You should have saved them and not used it for Mechiras Yosef, for a covering up of Yosef, with his coat and the goat. If you give me a guarantee, give me a collateral, then, so what does Tamar say? Goats, done. I want a down payment. It's very strange. The Torah records this conversation. Why is the Torah recording a conversation about collaterals, about payment to a prostitute? That's what the Torah records. Ladies, this is very important. Where do we see another Eravon in the Torah, in the story of Yehuda and Tamar? Let me expand. Where do we see another Eravon in the story of Yosef and Echav? Okay, hold on. Let's finish this pasuk. We're going to get there right now. What did she say? Give me your chosamcha v'silecha umatcha. Give me your signs and your signatures and your staff. Who has signs, signatures, and a staff? What's that a sign of? A king. Malchus. V'yiten la. He gives it to her. V'yavoy lav d'har. Lo becomes pregnant. Let's go back. Where do we see an Eravon? Flip now to 12. Vayomer Reuven. The pasuk says, Vayomer Reuven El Aviv Vayomer Hinei Shnei Bnai Tamid Im Lo Ashivenu Elecha Tanau So Al Yadi Vani Ashiveni Lach. Says Reuven to his father. This is after the famine. Reuven says, Dad, kill my 2 kids if I don't bring who back? Binyamin back, right? What happened? Yosef incarcerated Shimon. Incarcerated Shimon. And now, Yosef said, you want to come back? What do you need to do? Bring this 12th alleged sibling that you have. Bring Binyamin. Reuven turns to his dad and says, Dad, I will bring back Binyamin. I guarantee it. If not, kill my 2 kids. My son will not go with you. There's that horidu again concept coming into play. He says, no, my son will not go down. Binyamin will not join you. Reuven, was he able to influence his dad? No. Failed leadership part 2. What does Yehuda say in the next chapter? Yisrael Aviv. Shilcha hanar iti. Please, send the slide with me. V'nakuma, the opposite of Vayered. V'nelecha. Even though, by the way, the nakuma is going from where? From Israel to Egypt, right? Which usually you don't use this word v'nakuma. V'nelecha v'nichya lo namus ki anachnu gam ata gam tapenu. Anochi ervenu. I will be your guarantee. At this point in time, who are the only 2 people that lost 2 sons? Yaakov lost 2 sons, didn't he? He lost Yosef and he lost Shimon. Who else lost 2 sons? Yehuda speaking. Yehuda himself. Yehuda turns to his dad and says, Dad, I can relate. I know what it's like to lose 2 sons. Therefore, I will be your guarantee. I can relate. I can the only one that can relate to you, Dad. Miyadit tevachshenu, if I don't bring him back. There's a guarantee. Yehuda had a guarantee that was taken from him, and Yehuda says to his dad, guarantee, Dad, myself, I'm your guarantee. Let's go back to our story and continue. Okay, she becomes pregnant, your test, back to source 1. Vatelech vatasar seifama lav the bash big deal munisa. She changes back. Vayishlach Yehuda as Gedei Izim. He sends the Gedei Izim. Biad Ra'eu Dulami lakach the ha'eravon mi'ari shav lo. He wants his signs and his signature. He wants them back, right? But he can't find her, not him. Adulami can't find who. Where's this prostitute? Where's this lady? Where's this girl? Where is she? Can't find her. Vayish'al es anshe mekoma. Again, this word sha'al is being used over and over and over again. You notice? Vayish'al, they're again inquiring the places. Ayeh shai beinayim ala derech. V'yamru lo ha'isaf as kadesha. By the way, how ironic is this? There never was a kadesha. There never was a prostitute. Guess what? There really never was a prostitute. Right? There really never was. Yehuda thinks there was. There really never was. Your eyes are very deceptive. What you see isn't what's really there. By the way, who was deceived? Let's go back and talk about deception. Who is the first person who was deceived in the last couple of weeks in Chumash? Yaakov. Who was deceived before Yaakov? Yitzchak. Let's go through this. What does it say in the Torah about Yitzchak? He wasn't he blind? Yitzchak get deceived. Who deceives Yitzchak? Yaakov deceives him, essentially, right? Yaakov deceives Yitzchak about the whole what? Bechor thing? Bechor? Interesting. Because now, who deceives Yaakov? Yehuda, right? The brothers deceive Yaakov over the death of Yosef. Again, a battle of who's older or younger, right? That happens there as well. Interesting. Yaakov plays deception on Yitzchak, and what happens to him? His children deceive him. Now, let's go through this again. Yehuda gets deceived, doesn't he? Remember what Yehuda does? Yehuda deceives his father. Yehuda deceives his father with the whole Yosef thing. It was his idea. He's the one responsible. He's the one culpable. He could have saved the day, says Rashi, but he didn't. If that's true, let's go through this. It's really neat. Once again, what does Yaakov do to deceive his own father? He has to put on clothing, doesn't he? Well, that's really neat, because guess what happens? Everyone else is wearing clothing to deceive who? Yehuda. Now, Tamar puts on clothing to deceive Yehuda, but that is not for a negative reason, it's for a positive reason. What you see isn't the reality. Tamar puts on clothing to deceive for good. Yaakov put on clothing to deceive for bad. What? Well, it's definitely deception, right? Now, let's go through this again, because this is also really neat, because go to the next stage. But the very article of clothing, so Yaakov gives an article of clothing to Yosef, and that's the article of clothing that is the deception. Hey, Yaakov, recognize this. Recognize the deception. How ironic is it? You make the statement, you think you know what's going on. Says Yaakov, I see what's going on. But he totally sees, but really doesn't see. And where does this take place? In the crossroads of einayim, of sight. Sight, deception. Let's go on. That's why I love Chumash. Okay. Where am I? Okay, so now, he can't find this prostitute. Vayeshev Yehuda v'yemer lo. We can't find, playing hide and go seek, right? We can't find this person, this Kadesha. Kaman Shema Klomer lo yisav as a Kadesha. V'yemer Yehuda tikach la pen yalavuz. Hinei shalach tegdi hazev atalo mesasa. I'm toast. Yehuda's now in a bind. Could Yehuda continue to look for this Kadesha? At some point in time, it might get out. So he's like, all right, I'm pretty upset. I lost my who knows what. What am I going to do? I can't find her. I can't find her. After 3 months, it was told to Yehuda, your daughter-in-law, Zansa, she did an act of zunus. She isn't inappropriate because she really is quasi-married to the family. Let's take her on this burner. He mutseis. See the word mutseis? Again, see this? Take her out. He mutseis, and she's found. You see there's like lost and found going on here? He shochal chamiha lemor. And what does she say? She says, do me a favor. While I'm being taken out to be burned, she sends to her father-in-law, leish asher elelo anochi hara. The owner of these, is who impregnated me. But Tomer hakerna, recognize lemiachosemes v'absilim v'mata'ila. As was said before, recognize. It was Yehuda who turned to his own father and said, Dad, recognize, is this your son's tunic? Is this your son's garment? And now Tamar is telling Yehuda, recognize to whom these belong. Yes?
The panel of, like the base in there was Yehuda, Yaakov, and Yitzchak.
Right.
Who were all deceived.
There's a basin of deception. Vayakir Yehuda, he recognizes. Vayomer tzadka mimeni. She's more righteous than I. Al kain lo nesatiha l'shela b'ni, because I did not give my son to her. Then what happens? Twins are born, right? Twins are born. This is going back to Yaakov and Esav, the tikkun of Yaakov and Esav. Again with the hand coming out. Who's first? Tie the hand, and eventually we know Peretz comes out. Eventually Peretz will eventually to David HaMelech, etc. The Melucha. Now, what's amazing about this story, if Yehuda would have said nothing, she would have been burnt. And what happened? It would have been over. By Yehuda saying, I'm recognizing these items. I'm recognizing she's more righteous than I messed up. Now, if you're a good leader, you're able to influence others. But as you know from, Nixon and Clinton and Rob Ford is going through some challenges right in our own hometown, right? Leaders make mistakes. Leaders are never meant to be perfect. The question is, what do leaders do when they make a mistake? If they recognize their mistake, they're able to grow. And if they don't recognize their mistake, often their leadership crumbles on them. So interesting. What does Yehuda do? The word Yehuda means to, what does it mean to, what's a modeh? What's a modeh ani lefanecha? To recognize, doesn't it? Same word as haker. So Yehuda's name is to recognize, admit, and to give thanksgiving. I've spoken this many times in many different places. All mean the same thing in Hebrew. Lahodot and modeh, saying thank you and admitting, are all the same word in Hebrew. Why? Because when you recognize something, you're admitting that you thank your waiter, right? I'm recognizing that I couldn't have had my meal without you. I'm recognizing that you're... And that, I believe, is what's happening in this story. So, there's no question there's a sense of leadership. There's a sense of Yehuda able to overcome the challenges of his leadership. It appeared for a moment that it was going to be destroyed. It was going to be that Yehuda was going to be forgotten. Yehuda would never be able to climb out. But we see Yehuda's transformation. Acceptance of responsibility. I don't have time to do this properly, but I'm just going to read these psukim. And every word here is going to resonate. Source number 8. Way later on in Chumash. Ki siyana li'ish de nashim. If a man has 2 wives, achas ova v'achas nua, a loved wife and a hated wife, what does it sound like to you? Yaakov, no. Look at source 9. Vayodu lovanim, hovav hasnua, v'haya habena bechor lasnia. Wow. What does that sound like to you? That's the Yaakov story, isn't it? Vaya biyoman chiloas banav asher yelo lo yuchal levaker. What does the word levaker sound like to you? To recognize? Es beino val pnei ben esnua bechor. Ki es ben bechor ki es bechor ben esnua yakir laseslo pishnayim b'chol yimatze lo. Why? He who Bereshis ono. What does the word Bereshis ono mean? He's their first child, right? Who is Bereshis ono in Chumash? Take a look at source 10. Binyamin is called Bereshis ono.
Not Bereshis.
Well, ono, right? But he's eventually Yaakov will call Ruvain b'ni b'chri ata kuchi v'Bereshis oni yeser seis v'yeseros. I believe that is where Yaakov does tshuva over the Bechor status. He actually calls Reuven his real Bechor, Bereshis ono. But what I want to say is the following. This is what I think is happening. You see, in Chumash, there's many things that are flying around. And everything's interconnected to everything else. But ultimately, the question is one of leadership and responsibility. Yaakov clearly made a mistake by the way he dealt and deceived his father. It might be that he had to do it, but the way he did it was problematic. We see that he suffers with Rachel and Leah. That's also clear. Bechor, right? Firstborn. What does Lavan say? This is not the minhag in our place. That's clearly a shtoch against Yaakov as well. But when we want to connect these stories, and this is how we began, why is Perek Lamed Ches in Chumash? The answer is Lamed Ches is essential for the Yosef story, even though chronologically this happens much, much, much later. Shelah's an adult already. Well, the whole Yosef story really is actually almost over, right? Because Yosef goes down to Mitzrayim. How long is he in prison for? He's not in prison for that long, right? So, to some extent, this Lamed Ches is really has to be transplanted over the Prakim Lamed Tes and Mem of what's happening else in Chumash with Yosef and his brothers in the famine. So I believe, why is this parak here? Why is it an essential chapter in Chumash? I believe it's an essential chapter in Chumash because it shows the transformation of a leader. A leader, Yehuda had failed leadership. He was charismatic. He convinced people. He influenced people. But eventually he's able to recognize his mistakes. He's able to recognize, you get it? Haker. And he's able to recognize what his own name is. Right? Live up to his name. And eventually, by Yehuda recognizing his mistake, I believe is already 80% of the Yosef story almost becoming coming out of the Yosef story and moving on from there. And it's extremely ironic, because what's going to happen when Bnei Yisrael go down to and see Yosef? They're not going to be able to recognize him either. he'll recognize them, they're not going to recognize him. So a lot of it is the recognition and what we wear and who we are and what we really see, what we don't see. That's clearly also another sub-theme that's going on in Chumash. But ultimately, as Rashi says right in the beginning, this is a question and challenge of leadership, failed leadership, that eventually begins recovery by the end of the Yehuda story, when he's able to see that he made a mistake, take responsibility for his mistake, and that allows the Malchus Beis David to be born. And for our narrative, at least Yehuda is able to stand up to his own father and say, Dad, I understand what it's like. I can be your Eravon. I know all about guarantees. I know all about them from his Tamar episode. We see really Yehuda learns from his mistakes of Lamed Ches, and eventually the brothers will become unified again. But for that moment, we're going to have to wait a couple weeks, which is during vacation, so I don't know what to do exactly. But Mirza Hashem, at least from our perspective, the ability, the greatness of leadership is something that I should take very seriously. And what's amazing about this story, how everything is totally interconnected, both the words and the themes. I believe that really is also the beauty of Chumash, and it's why we always have to wake up and smell the Chumash, because there's incredible messages and themes that are just really buried on top of each other, and right there, when you could recognize, you can see them with our own eyes.